Hello and welcome to What's Next. It's the Indy NXT Road Series here from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course here, and we're going to have ourselves quite the special event here tonight. Strength of field 3,737 here, and you may already see a rather famous name here in these Indy NXT machines. The number 9 machine will be piloted tonight by one Dennis Hauger, reigning Indy NXT Series champion, currently drives for Dale Corn Racing in the INDYCAR Series proper. It'll be cool to see him take it up against the best we've got here at the top rung of the virtual road to Indy. We're going to jump out here in qualifying here. We're going to hop out with reigning series champ Jarrett Corey as he navigates the speedway here. Get on board his number 2 machine here as he looks to navigate his outlap here from the speedway. Of course, this track has played host to an INDYCAR Series race in its current configuration since this configuration started being utilized in 2014. IL-15s will be competing in a doubleheader weekend this weekend in the Real World Indy NXT Series for the weekend upcoming. Many of their road course rounds are doubleheader weekends. This is one of them. I believe Barber was one, Mid-Ohio is one as well, and I believe the round at Road America is likewise a doubleheader, but we're here for one go of things here on Monday night to cap off our Monday night coverage here for the first week of the month of May here on P1 Broadcasting. I'm joined by absolutely nobody tonight. Sophie's internet gave her the Comcast. She's currently waiting for that to come up. So I am back solo here tonight. Bit of a throwback to the inaugural Indy NXT Road and Oval Series season where it was just me in the booth having to fill the airtime. So we're going to do our best here to bring you the same quality action we do each and every week here in the Indy NXT Road Series. Corey working his first of 2 qualifying laps here now as he navigates the right-hander towards this chicane that starts off the Holman Straight here. High traction zone, getting back on the power, heading down the back straightaway here underneath the Verizon Bridge. We'll get slowed up for the left-hander here at the tail end of the straight, down to second gear. Arc it nice and wide on the exit here. Got Jake King fans in the chat ready to root on their driver. JT Smeaton surprised for one Dennis Hauger. Yes, that is indeed the man, the myth, the legend, the Norwegian nightmare himself. Dennis Hauger's in the field tonight. He's piloting the 9 machine. We'll get to him no doubt in due time. Jake King sets the current pole time of a 1:15.421. Jonathan Brown will improve that. Aiden Kale, in no quick succession, will improve on that as well. Let's see what Jarrett Corey can do on his first lap here. Doesn't look like it's going to be quite enough to dethrone the top time so far. Kale leads with a 1:15.161 on his first lap. We'll actually see if we can track down Mr. Hauger. Jarrett works his second lap here. Here's Mr. Hauger. I believe this is actually the livery he drove in the Indy NXT Series last season, or at least one of them. So we'll ride on board with him as he looks to complete his first lap here in qualifying. Likely no one better than the guy who's done it for real here around the speedway. Cool to see some of the real-world drivers taken to the track this week. Of course, this is one of the many tracks you'll tend to see a number of the Road to Indy and INDYCAR talent show up for a race or 2 or 3 or 4. Dennis has found us here in this time slot here tonight. He's looking to complete his first 2 qualifying laps here. Got a couple drivers still taking time here. We've got the likes of Daniel Falkingham in the field, Giovanni Blackerby, Rafael Lippi, Andre Castro back once again. Alexander Kariba, I've seen that name float around a number of times, so we'll see how everyone gets under wraps tonight. Chris Wetz, Drew Such from Formula Racing or Formula Super Series, Formula Indy Series fame. He's in the field tonight. Takumi Numata, stout competition here, so it's going to be quite the race we've got on tap here tonight. So we watch Hauger cross the line for his qualifying lap here. We'll see where that puts him. 15.399 for the driver of the 9. We'll see if he can improve on lap 2 here. Heads down the backstretch here into the braking zone. Sends it nice and deep into the corner here. See if he can improve. So it's a very tight battle at the front of the field here. We've got the second row locked in on the exact same time down to the third decimal place of a 15.332 between Jarrett Corey and Jonathan Brown. Hulkingham trails that. Hauger is the last one left to finish their qualifying run that's likely to set a faster time here. We'll see if he does improve or not, or if he'll have to settle for the 6th spot here tonight. A less stout effort for the real world Indy NXT champ. First time I believe I've seen him in the Indy NXT machine here on iRacing. Will not improve on lap 2. Runs just a couple thousandths slower on that second lap, so he'll have to settle for the 6th starting spot. As we get to the closing moments of qualifying, we'll ride around with Takumi Numata here. He sets his first time here. Heads down the front stretch into turn number 1, sporting a Cadillac F1 inspired livery, I believe, on this number 6 IL-15 here tonight. Here he comes towards that chicane to kick off that back straight here. Nice and smooth here. So we've got a cast of characters from all around the world taken to the most famous speedway in the world. Here tonight we got Takumi hailing from Japan, of course Hauger from Norway, Rafael Lippi, I believe hailing from Brazil. Of course, a slew of American drivers for all around the country here as well. As Numata will close off his qualifying run, improving ever so slightly. We'll see where that puts him in the starting lineup. That'll put him for 13th. So we get to the final 30 seconds. We'll see if anybody can set a better time than that. Ethan Johnson's going to get a time in finally. It looks like Mike Clark's the only one without a time on the board. And we'll get to the 21-car field on tap for tonight's Indy NXT Road Series race from the famed Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Qualifying comes to a close. We'll wait for cars to get to the grid and run through tonight's starting lineup. Give it some time. We got a full pace lap to do here, so we'll let drivers get to the grid and give them some time to show off their liveries and automobiles here. 17 laps on offer here tonight, so a little under half the distance we saw from the IndyCar Open Series event here tonight. Of course, won by JT Smeaton, who's joined us here in the chat tonight. Glad to see he's out here supporting the little guy, or I guess the big little guy. I don't know, however we want to coin these Indy NXT IL-15 machines. So we'll get the front row on the grid proper. I'm seeing a debut of a new livery for Andre Castro this week, so that's a good bit of fun. We'll wait for the last couple cars to take to the track here in Jarrett Corey and Takumi Numata. Give them their due as well. While we're waiting for that, let's get to starting to run through the starting lineup. So it will be Aiden Kale on the pole with a time of a 1:15.161. Alongside him will be the one machine of Andre Castro, sporting a Budo Sud livery. I think that's how you pronounce that with the umblids. Is that what the accent mark is on those? Not quite sure, but he's sporting a new livery here this week. Of course, he was sporting the Guinness car for a good while there. Road Racing's Jarrett Corey in the team livery will start in third alongside Jonathan Brown. Daniel Falkingham rocking the now somewhat iconic Lucky Charms car will start fifth in the number 4. Dennis Hauger, sporting what I believe is his real-world Indy NXT livery from last season, will start in the 6th spot in the number 9. We go back to Alexander Kariba in the 8 alongside Jake King. And we've got John Wells and Giovanni Blackerby rounding out the top 10. The winner from Mexico City last season, Rafael Lippi, will start 11th alongside Formula Super Series star Drew Such. Takumi Numato will roll off 13th in the number 6. Armando Valdez will start 14th ahead of Chris Wetz and Luis Vasquez occupying row number 8. We move back to Barrett Polhimus and David Clennon in row number 9. Clennon sporting the 90s Chip Ganassi Racing livery with the lightning bolts on it. We got Robson Cardoso and Ethan C. Johnson rounding out the top 20. Mike Clark rounds out the 21 car field in the 21 machine in a Scuderia Ferrari HP inspired livery. We'll get to the front of the field once again with Aiden Kale and Andre Castro. Apologies for the whiplash from the Whiplash sim cams. They're getting back to the front of the field here. And we'll get the scoring tower ready to go here as we head down the back straightaway here from IMS. Of course, this is not the first time that we've seen the Indy NXT Road Series take to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course. It took place in the inaugural season back in 2025, Season 2. And we will get you kind of caught up to speed on what happened in that race in terms of the podium finishers. See if any of them are in the field here tonight. That was a race that was won by none other than Nadi Emmel over Jarrett Corey. Michael Ziccola rounded out the podium there. Margin of victory was 3.344 seconds. Strength of field, 2,721 for that inaugural event. We're here for the second time here in the Indy NXT Road Series. Ready to see who will be crowned the winner here tonight as they round the corner off the short chute. Head back into the infield. Get ready for the pace car to pull off as the pit lane is right as they get to this left-hand corner here. So the pace car will pull off here. That'll give control of the field to Aiden Kale and Andre Castro on the front row. And we'll see how these Indy NXT drivers get underway here from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Flash of the virtual world and the real one as Dennis Hauger joins the field. We'll see where he gets up to off the starting line here as Kale will go early. And we're underway from Indianapolis. Still 2 wide. We're going to go 3 wide as Falkingham looks to the inside. Hauger to the outside. He gives a hold tough. He'll get shuffled back ever so slightly. We'll hop back to him as he's under fire from Jake King. Oh, Blackerby's going to make contact with Hauger. Hauger stays pointed the right direction. We'll see if he's got any damage, but that's going to take Blackerby out. It looks like David Clennon's back there, as well as Mike Clark. We stay under green as this is a road course race, but tough break early for drivers inside the top 10. Hauger appears to not have any damage on that IL-15, so he'll hopefully recover in due time. We hop back to the front of the field, however. It is Jarrett Corey, followed ahead by Aiden Kale. Gonna have to see maybe what happened to Andre Castro. He's fallen down the order to the 5th spot. Now behind Jake King. Still around the final corner to end off lap 1. Very eventful so far. Oh, we've got a car around. King's going to make contact. He'll fall down the orders, missing a front wing on that machine. Let's take a look back real quick and see if we can get a look at what happened there. So there's the cars in the wall. Let's see if we can get a bit closer to it here as they're coming off the final couple of corners here. Here's King. We're going to see a car likely spin ahead of King here as he heads off the final corner. And that number 5 machine. There goes the 7. That's going to be Jonathan Brown around off the final corner here. King kind of tries to go wide to avoid it. Nowhere really to go at that point as Brown's machine shoots to the outside wall. That'll take them out of contention for the win here tonight. Tough break for drivers that were likely looking to make a statement here in this race. You see the damage now on the left-hand side of that IL-15 for King. As Giovanni Blackerby's just up the road there, and we'll hop back to the front of the field now as Aiden Cale continues to lead Jarrett Corey in the second spot. Andre Castro currently holds on to the final podium spot ahead of Daniel Falkingham, who we see there in the Lucky Charms machine. Working lap 2. Been a very eventful opening couple laps here. Hauger's worked his way back up to 7th. There's the driver of the 9 machine. He's been able to get away with early contact between himself and Blackerby as Cale will go purple with a 1:14.922. First driver to break into the 1:14 second bracket here tonight. We'll see if anyone's got anything to contest the driver of the number 10. As Hauger's under fire from Takumi Numata in that 8th spot. Battle really seems to be concentrated around the 9th place spot between Caraiba, Wetz, Cardoso, Valdez, and then you've got Barrett Pujols kind of trailing this group here. Caraiba in a Hunkos Hollinger inspired scheme, if I have got that identified correctly. He'll look to the inside on Wetz, the tail end of the Holman. Wetz will hold on to it. Caraiba locks up the brakes, stays off of Wetz. He'll continue to navigate the course here. Here they come through the chute into the infield inside of turn number 1. Very close quarters here, as you're going to see. That's going to be Cardoso under fire from Barrett Pujols in the Red Bull-inspired livery there in the 18 machine. Might look for a move here down the front straightaway in the draft. Here he comes. He's going to look. Is he going to be able to make a move stick here? Deep on the brakes. Alongside, but not able to make a move. He's going to stay alongside here into the left, or the right-hander rather. He'll make the pass on Cardoso stick. Move Barrett to the 12th spot. Caraiba just ahead here. Kind of got used as a bit of a pick there for Barrett. And he's going to try to make a move down the backstretch here on the driver of the 8 machine. He's going to look to the inside, deep on the brakes. Going to be side by side to the next right-hander here. He's going to try to power through. He will make that move stick on Caraiba. Move Barrett up to 11th. And we'll move back up to the battle for the 5th spot as Daniel Falkingham is looking to try to hold off Luis Vasquez as Drew Such has made it on through on the driver of the 4 machine. He's getting loose off the left-hander here as he'll work his way towards the front straightaway. Aiden Cale is properly started to pull away. Gaps almost 1.5 seconds back to Jarrett Corey. We'll get gaps up on the screen now as we work lap number 5. Caraiba's now fallen to 15th further in the field behind Mike Clark now. I think Caraiba might be in trouble. He's coming down the pit lane. So we'll have to see if we can maybe get a look at what happened to him. He's just coming down the pit lane here. So let's see if we can go back even further than this. So he's coming off onto the oval here. Coming down into the right-hander here. We'll see if there's any sort of spin or contact made here as he heads towards... No, it looks like he just comes down the pit lane here. Not maybe sure what happened to Caraiba there, but he's taking a trip down the pit lane here from IMS. And we'll hop back to that battle for the 4th spot as Such, Falkingham, and Vasquez are all within a second of each other fighting for this 4th spot as we get to the conclusion of lap 5. So they'll work their way down the front straightaway here. Falkingham takes a bit of a defensive maneuver down the front straightaway here, trying to chase down Drew Such. Hauger kind of lingers off in the distance behind this battle in the 7th spot. There he is. And we'll actually we'll do a lap on board with the reigning real world champ here in the Indy NXT Series. He'll head down the backstretch. You'll see all those cars fanned out ahead of Falkingham here as they head down the backstretch here from the IMS road course. He'll close in ever so slightly. He was the fastest car of this group last time around with a 15.996. No other car ahead broke into that 15-second bracket. The fastest ahead of him was Daniel Falkingham with a 16.058. So we'll see if Mr. Hauger can get things under wraps here and work his way back potentially into a top 5 finisher tonight. Here they come down the front stretch. See the gap this time around. He's just outside of 1 second back of Luis Vasquez further up the road here. We'll see if he can make an inroad here as we get inched ever closer to the halfway mark. If you've enjoyed tonight's coverage, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, share with your friends, your family, anybody you'd like to get in on the action here on P1, and we're going to have a lot of it throughout this month. Obviously, the likes of both a fixed and open Indy 500 this Friday and next Friday night, alongside all the other various events that go on at the Speedway. The INDYCAR iRacing Series event Friday night will also be here on the channel. We'll cover more of that in a moment's time, but I want to continue to watch the Norwegian Nightmare continuing to loom here off the back of this battle for 4th on back. Let's see if Dennis can work his way back into a top 5 position here in due time. He's made some good inroads this lap. He's gained about half a second on this group ahead here. We'll see him navigate the right and left-hander here. Maybe just coming a bit more to grips with the iRacing edition of the IL-15 here. Of course, won many a race in this machine in the real world on his way to the championship last season. Got the call up to Dale Coyne to drive in the INDYCAR Series this season. Goes to show that the road to Indy does indeed do road to Indy things. And you get to Indy eventually. He'll compete in the Indianapolis 500 later this season. We're going to watch a side-by-side battle between Vasquez and Falkingham for a moment there, as Hauger will get alongside. We'll hop outboard with the driver of the 9 machine as he looks to try to make a move here before they get to the chicane here. He'll make that stick, move Hauger up to the 6th spot. See if he can lure in Daniel Falkingham here. He'll be under attack from Vasquez for a moment there. Vasquez thinks better of it. He'll back that move out. Gap at the front is about 2 seconds between Cale and Corey. Cale's got the better of that number 2 machine here tonight. I want to thank everybody for tuning into tonight's coverage. It's a late show here on Monday night. We appreciate everybody for tuning in and enjoying the great action we have here in the Indy NXT Road Series. We'll have more of it going into tomorrow night with some Oval Series action, both from the Speedway here in Indianapolis and a trip down under for the Indy NXT, or not down under, I guess down south is the word I'm looking for, the phrasing I'm looking for there. As tomorrow night we'll have the INDYCAR Oval Series top split on Cinco de Mayo evening. That'll take place 8:15 Eastern Time from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, which will be followed up by the Indy NXT Oval Series from the Circuit de Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez Oval in Mexico City. That'll take place at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Wednesday night will be the Horizon IndyCar Series from the Texas Motor Speedway, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Mark Murphy on the call for that. Thursday night, AMA Grand National Series coverage will take place from Watkins Glen, 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time for that. Friday night will be the INDYCAR iRacing Series event from the Indianapolis Road Course here. Will take place 4 p.m. Eastern Time as Hauger gets deep into the braking zone at the tail of the Holman Straight. Then you've got trucks, AMA Trucks, 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time on Friday night, as well as the fixed Indy 500 first split, top split, will be 9 p.m. Eastern Time Friday. And then the weekend will be rounded out with Mother's Day coverage of the Classic IndyCar Series from Mexico City at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And we're back Monday with continuing coverage where the IndyCar Open Series takes on the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Oval, and the Indy NXT Road Series will take on Sebring with a chance of rain for their final of 2 rain rounds here in 2026 Season 2, and the championship will be in full swing by that point, but Hauger's going to make a move for the 5th spot down the front stretch here. Vasquez is going to look likewise on Falkingham as they head into turn number 1. has to be the race of what could have been for Hauger. Might have had a shot at a podium spot here had things gone just a little bit differently on that opening lap. Of course, he made contact with Giovanni Blackerby on the opening lap through the chicane, went around for a spin, but ultimately came out damage-free. Was able to live and fight another day here inside the top 5 now. He's going to be hunting down Formula Racing Series star Drew Such, who I believe at least took a race or two off in that series in the Formula Super Series in season number 4. Of course, got the honor of broadcasting that series throughout its 4th season. As Hauger continues to loom off the back of Drew Such here, they'll head down the front stretch. And who else is looming over another competitor here is Andre Castro and Jarrett Coher. We're going to watch as Hauger looks to the outside down the front stretch here into turn number 1. We've seen him really muscle his way through this first corner here. He's going to let Such drive it in deep. Smart move from the Norwegian. He's going to get back to the outside here through the right-hander. He's going to sweep, maybe go for a bit of an undercut move here. Almost gets into the back of Such off the right-hander here. He'll navigate the backstretch here, trying to make a move. Down the Holman straight. See beyond the push to pass, as is Such. They'll be both on the button. Slight contact potentially made between the 13 and the 9 here. Hauger's going to tuck back in the line. Continue to fight here for that 4th spot. Working lap number 11 of 17. We'll get that to laps to go now, as we've got just a handful of laps left in this event here tonight. Aiden Kale sailed properly away over 3 seconds ahead of Jarrett Coher in that 2nd spot, but we stay currently with the battle for 4th as Dennis Hauger looks to move up another spot. He's going to get another shot of it down the front stretch here. He's right off the back of Such. Is he going to make the right move at the right time here? He's going to fade to the outside once again. Try to muscle his way as fast as he possibly can down the front stretch. Such is down to just 5 seconds on the push to pass. Hauger's going to hold it tough on the outside here. He's going to stay alongside, power ahead. He'll move up to 4th. That'll settle for now the battle for the 4th spot as Such continues to loom off the back. Let's look at those push-to-pass figures as we've brought it up. Kale on 17, Coher on 46, Castro 19, Hauger on 26. Such is going to run his push-to-pass out this time. He's now on 0. Falkingham on 31, Vasquez on 16, Numata 28. Such is going to try to make it stick on the outside here. Comes the inside for this corner, but Hauger's going to hold it tough. Very close call through the left-hander there. Hauger's going to look to the inside now through the right-hander as they head back to the short chute. Quite the battle we've got ongoing for the 4th spot here as Falkingham almost looked to the inside there. Such is going to overshoot the corner. He'll fall and lose a spot or two to Falkingham and Vasquez there. Hauger continues to lead this group. This battle is more or less settled. We'll actually drop back to the battle just behind this with Vasquez, Such, and Numata now as Numata looks to the inside down the front stretch. 3 wide down the front stretch. Vasquez going to back out of that, let Such and Numata go at it. They're going to make slight wheel-to-wheel contact between Numata and Such there. Such is going to get the better of it, but Numata will move up a spot. That brings Chris Wetz back into the battle here, with just a couple laps left to go. Working laps 13 of 17 here from the Speedway. So we'll get the push to pass off and get gaps back up. Andre Castro is going to be the next closest battle ahead of this group here, trying to hunt down Jarrett Coher. See Vasquez back out of a move on Numata there. They'll continue to fight throughout this lap here. Work off onto the short chute, head back into the infield. Vasquez is going to take that spot from Numata, move Vasquez back to 7th. Chris Wetz is looming off the back of Numata now as well, so that battle will heat up for the 8th spot. So we're coming to 4 to go here. These drivers working just inside the top 10. Numata's going to go defensive to the inside, as is Vasquez. Wetz is going to stay hooked up on the outside. We've seen that work for Hauger already here tonight. Numata's going to get the better entry. He'll hold on to the 8th spot for now. This battle continues to rage. We'll actually move up quickly to the battle for the second spot between Jarrett Corey and Andre Castro. We've watched these two duke it out a number of times throughout the seasons and throughout the weeks of the Indy NXT Road Series. Kind of the class of the virtual field here week in and week out in the Indy NXT Road Series of these two drivers. Of course, Aiden Cale showing us that he's got a bid for that one here tonight. Well and far away of Jarrett Corey, some 3.5 seconds up the road here as Corey tries his darndest to hold on to this second spot here in that number 2 machine. Castro looking to the inside here. Corey locks up just a little on the brakes. A little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact here through the left. Corey will pip ahead for the right. But Castro's going to look to the inside here. Corey's going to have to give him way. But Corey will hold the momentum as they get to the chicane down the back straightaway here. Jarrett holds the advantage on the push to pass. Castro's on the button. He has just 4 seconds left. Jarrett has 23. Aiden Cale sits on just 8 ahead, but he's well away from this battle for second. Here they come through the right. They'll head towards the short chute between turns 1 and 2 on the oval now. And they'll continue to fight back and forth here for the second spot. Imagine Castro is going to want to try to get ahead of Corey sooner rather than later, as he knows that he has to make a move as soon as he can to try to keep ahead of Corey, as Corey's really just had his car in the right place at the right time so far. Castro's going to get on the button, as is Corey. Nothing left for Castro, nothing left for Aiden Cale at the front of this field. Corey sits on just 13 seconds now with 2 to go as Castro wants to get to the inside. Corey's going to lock up. They'll be side by side once again. Corey not going to be able to clear this time. Castro's going to hold the advantage on the inside. He's going to take the spot for now, but is he going to be able to hold on to it? Here comes the driver of the two. He'll look to the outside, down the back straightaway here. That'll become the inside for this corner. We've seen that car on the outside be able to power through, but Corey will get the advantage this time. As they head through the left, they'll head through the right. They'll head towards the short chute between turns 1 and 2 once again. Castro's going to look to the outside. He's going to cut down, try to keep the momentum up. He's going to look to the inside, into the right-hander, back into the infield. Corey's going to run wide into the grass. Not going to be able to hold on to it. He's going to get 1 lap to go this time around to try to make a move back, but is he going to be close enough? He's going to have to use everything he's got left in the tank to try to make this move. He's on the button, heading down the front straightaway. Hauger's depleted his push to pass in 4th. He's well off this battle here, but he's clawed a good bit of time back. He sits just 7 seconds back of these two, so a lot can happen in this final lap here. We'll see if Hauger lucks into a podium finish here tonight. You see him entering turn 1 in the background there. That's going to be a lap machine going around in the background. That's David Clennon. We'll move back to Aiden Cale at the front, give him his due. We haven't seen much of him all night because he took the pole, took this race right from the get-go and walked away with it. So we'll watch his final couple of corners here as he rounds into the right-hander, work his way back onto the short chute. He's been essentially all but flawless tonight here from the Speedway in Indianapolis. Here he comes around the final left into the final right. And he'll take the win here from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course. Andre Castro will finish second. Jarrett Corey must have had another error on this final lap here. He'll hold on to the 3rd spot. See if maybe he can get a word on that. Hauger will finish 4th. Falkingham will barely beat out Drew Such to the line for 4th, or 5th rather. Vasquez finishes 7th. Valdez Polhemus Cardoso, the top 10. We'll run you through the rest of the finishing lineup here in due time. Let's see if we can get a quick look at what happened to Jarrett Corey on this final lap here before this coverage kicks to the interview room. So here he comes down the front stretch this last time around. See if we can kick the cameras forward just a little bit here. Speed this along here. See if we can catch where exactly this all goes astray for Jarrett. I'm imagining something at the end of the backstretch more than likely is what's going to hit the driver of the 2 machine here. We'll slow the cameras down as we get to the end of the backstretch here. So here he comes to the tail end of the backstretch here. He's going to... Yeah, he just locks up on the brakes trying to not run into the back of Castro. He'll go for a big slide, ultimately stop that machine and get it fired back going the right direction, but that'll lose him the bulk of the time we saw him lose on that final lap here. We'll see if maybe he has a word further for that one. We'll find Aiden Cale's machine as he heads down the pit lane here, and we'll run through the complete finishing results here from Indianapolis. So it will be Aiden Cale with the win, 7.5 seconds back to Andre Castro in the second spot. Jarrett Corey for Rogue Racing rounds out the podium. The Norwegian Nightmare, Dennis Hauger, rebounds to a 4th place finish. It's the race of what could have been for him. It had that opening contact between him and Giovanni Blackerby not come to fruition. Daniel Falkingham will round out the top 5 ahead of Drew Such, Luis Vasquez, Armando Valdez, Barrett Polhomus, and Robson Cardoso in the top 10. Moving our way further down, you've got Chris Wetz, Giovanni Blackerby, Takumi Numata fell down the order at some point throughout this one. John Wells, Mike Clark with a top 15. Alexander Karaiba, last car on the lead lap. David Clennon, we saw his spin late in the going as a lap machine. Jonathan Brown, we saw his collision between him and Jake King after his spin off the final corner on the opening couple laps there. Ethan C. Johnson rounds out the top 20. And Rafael Lippi, we didn't really see what happened to him, but he comes home in 21st spot here from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Not what he was looking for here tonight. And we'll talk to the podium finishers here tonight. I'm sure we'll have at least a couple of them here rolling on through, seeing what they have to say. We've at least got 3rd place Jarrett Corey here. Get him on up here once we can track down his IL-15 automobile on the speedway. There it is. Move in a bit closer to it. Go back just a little bit further. Here's the battle between him and Andre Castro that was just so awe-inspiring. We'll get Jarrett on up here. Jarrett, it is just Jacob Collins in the booth here tonight. How you doing?
All right.
Well, it all came down to a late race battle between yourself and Andre Castro as Aiden Cale had properly pulled away handedly by that stage of the race, but it looked like the pressure loomed. Castro got ahead, and then maybe just a bit of a blunder on the brakes there at the tail end of the back straight ultimately undid any challenge you might have had. Walk us through, especially that late race battle between yourself and Andre.
Yeah. For a while in this race, I wasn't too worried about Andre because he locked up and he was sort of mired in the pack. And then I see him sort of slowly closing in. I'm like, okay, that's fine. He's using up all his push to pass. That's fine. I'm saving it because just in case I somehow stick a fade in, I would like to have the best chance of being able to make a move. And then he gets to me and I'm like, oh no. So I did my best to try to keep him back. I think maybe I made a mistake trying to I thought I had enough of a gap to go back to the racing line, and I must not have because he was able to get alongside me and make the move. And then on the last lap, I just sort of I was trying to get as close to him as possible because, at that point, I used up all my push to pass in the back straight, and I knew, only chance is going to be is if I somehow get to his attenuator and be able to make the move into the cane. But I just went a bit too deep, locked it up. Fortunately, I had a big enough gap to still finish ahead of the reigning real-life Indy NXT champion. So, I got third today, but shows a competition in the virtual world probably stronger than the real world. So,
well, at least goes to show that Dennis maybe has to adapt to not having the seat of the pants feel you get in the real car. But kind of walk us through what it's like being in a race like this. Obviously, Dennis encountered a bit of issues early on with contact between him and Giovanni Blackerby on, I believe, lap 1 of tonight's race. He rebounded to a solid finish inside the top 5 here tonight. Kind of walk us through maybe some of the thoughts and feelings you have going up against guys that do it for real here on the virtual side.
Yeah, I always know it's going to be tough, and then there's also like there's the question of like how fair is this person going to race? How aggressive are they going to be? Because as I'm sure you know as well, there's a sort of reputation amongst some of the real world drivers that they're very aggressive on the sim, and so you never know if they're going to be as aggressive. Like if the one you're racing is going to be that aggressive. So I got kind of lucky that Dennis was sort of on the outside for the start, so I wouldn't have to worry about him potentially like dive bombing me. So I mean, after that, I didn't really see him for rest of the race, and I mean, I knew going into this race it was going to be a very stacked field. I mean, you have Dennis as well as like Falkingham, who's won a broadcast before and was looking really quick in practice. Castro, of course, is always very fast. Aiden Kale, who I know is very quicker than his iRating suggests. He's like 6K sports car. You have Takumi and Jake King, Leapy, all had pretty poor races. Karaiba looked pretty quick in practice, so I mean, I knew it was going to be tight, and with the amount of practice I put into this race, I mean, I can't be too disappointed with a P3. It's good points. It means it's probably not going to be a drop week, which is good. So looking ahead to Sebring.
Yeah, of course, you're looking to go back-to-back here in the Indy NXT Road Series. Beating out the Real World Series champ is not a bad way to kind of make your mark on that march, if you will. I'll throw in one last question here for you here tonight. Obviously, the Speedway best known for its left-hand turning oval configuration, but how do you feel about this road course here in Indianapolis? It's kind of grown into its own a little bit with kind of its permanent fixture on the IndyCar calendar since 2014. You have any thoughts as to maybe what really makes this place as special as it is going the opposite direction here?
I mean, to me, it's just kind of a roval, right? I mean, it's at the famous Indianapolis Motor Speedway, but I mean, no race on the road course is ever going to be as like prestigious as the 500. So it's kind of in that shadow, and then as well as that, as I don't think it's a particularly great course. I mean, hell, some of the time I even spent practicing, I was literally driving on the alternate layouts, like the old sort of right-hander that was like Sector 1, I think, or would have been Sector 2, like that sort of section before you go onto the back straight. And then, of course, going through that oval turn 1 backwards to finish the lap. And I mean, it's just one of those tracks where I feel like if they use some of those alternate layouts, it'd be a more fun track to drive. It's certainly not my favorite. I mean, I've yet to win here in the Indy NXT, but this is actually, I think, the only road to IndyCar I've not won at this track. I've won a USF race and the Indy Pro Soft here, so it's not a track I'm bad at per se, but it's not my favorite. And the oval is probably it's definitely better.
Well, there we go. The Speedway is still the Speedway and putting up a decent result. It's not a bad way to kick off the month of May here in the Indy NXT Road Series here for you, Jarrett. You know the drill. Friends, family, sponsors, anybody like to shout out, floor is yours.
Yep. Rogue Racing, P1 Broadcasting for putting this on. Shame Sophie isn't here. Yep, that's all I've got. I'll see you tomorrow, actually, for Mexico Oval. That's one I'm excited for.
Yes, the Cinco de Mayo special. I honestly, when that came up and I looked at it, I was like, that was purely coincidental. I did not intend for that to be the same week, but we'll have some fun in the sun in Mexico City. We'll catch you there, Jarrett, and hopefully next week as the Indy NXT Road Series takes on Sebring International Raceway.
Yep, I'll see you there.
That'll do it for third place finisher Jarrett Corey. We'll bring up his main rival here tonight, and Andre Castro, who finishes second here. Andre, Jacob Collins, P1 Broadcasting. You got me?
Yes, sir.
Well, it came down to the wire between yourself and Jarrett Corey. You ultimately made the pass with a little over a lap left to go, and Jarrett maybe just kind of cracked under the pressure trying to make that final move stick. What did you really feel like made the difference to make your final move at the time you did to close this one out?
Yeah, I mean, I was just trying my best to kind of force a mistake because I didn't have that much push to pass. I used it all to kind of catch him. I was hoping could stick on to his draft and kind of, battle with him. But yeah, at the end, I just didn't have much left. So I knew I had to, you know, kind of make some moves in some unexpected places. And, he held it pretty well around the outside a couple times. And yeah, in the end, I think it worked out for us. Just first lap was unfortunate. Just lost my braking point. It was one of those marker boards that I kind of count down to every time I go by there. But apparently wasn't a great system because I lost count of which marker board I was at and ended up cutting the course. So congrats to Aiden on the win. But wish we could have battled it out a bit more if I hadn't made that mistake.
Yeah, it's always kind of tough, especially in the heat of battle around other cars, to know where you need to slow down. Especially with that, if you're looking at the likes of the backstretch here, hitting into that braking zone, those meter boards tend to kind of creep up at you way faster than you think they do in the heat of the moment there. And kind of walk us through what it takes to recover from a mistake like that too, where you've kind of got to rebuild what your muscle memory and trust yourself just that little bit more to make sure you don't make another mistake like that.
Yeah, it was mainly in that corner that I wasn't trusting myself. I feel like everywhere else I was okay, and then there I was just like, am I counting correctly? I don't really know. I didn't trust myself to kind of think of a new breaking point during the race because I didn't want to, kind of, yeah, I don't know. I didn't want to give up any more time, but yeah, generally it was kind of touch and go for the rest of that race, and it was just enough to catch Jarrett and have a pretty good battle with him. So I had pretty fun going wheel to wheel. I think the net code on the car is a little better now, and you can really run side by side. So that was really cool, just running wheel to wheel with him and running hard but fair.
Yeah, it's always good to see when a side-by-side battle can play out as nature would have intended it, rather than the iRacing netcode intervening and ruining all the fun. And we'll throw in kind of an additional question here in the lack of my co-commentator Sophie Connell here, and we'll kind of ask you how you feel about this track given its position at taking place at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Obviously, this isn't what the Speedway is famous for, but it's been a bit of a mainstay in the last decade or so here in American open wheel competition. How do you feel about this road course here in terms of the racing it puts on and how you get around the track like this?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all pretty used to it at this point. It's not. I mean, I've driven there. Got to race an Xfinity car there in real life, and got to test a USF 2000 car a few times. So, actually, yeah, that I guess the only race I did was the Xfinity car. But yeah, I think it provides a unique challenge. It's just very flat and kind of featureless. So you almost have to. And it's interesting because I feel like in IndyCar in real life, they all know the track so well that it kind of all comes down. I mean, it's just the margins are so tight. Probably not the most, iconic or, well, I guess the facility is iconic, but the track features themselves are maybe, not as iconic as Corkscrew or Turn 5 at Road America or something like that. But, I think it deserves a place in the schedule. Probably not my favorite track either, but, it can make for some good battles, as you saw there at the end with Jarrett.
Yeah, it certainly has its own kind of unique position in American open wheel racing lore, if you will. And we'll round things out with the usual. You know the drill. Friends, family, sponsors. Anybody you'd like to shout out, floor is yours.
Yeah, BS Hybrid, for making the fire new scheme, and sucks that I can't run Guinness anymore, but I'm more than happy to switch to this really colorful zebra paint scheme, and happy to represent them. And Chris West down in 11th, had a pretty good result as well. So yeah, and shout out to P1 Broadcasting, to the competitors as well, and Jared and Aiden for a good race.
Yeah, well, thank you for joining us up here in the booth once again. We'll hopefully either catch you tomorrow night as the Indy NXT Oval Series heads to Mexico City, or next week as the Road Series heads to Sebring.
Yes, I'm particularly excited. I'm not 100% sure I can make it, but I would love to for tomorrow because Mexico Oval. Yeah, I always love goofy car track combinations, so I would love to be there.
Well, we'd certainly love to have you go celebrate tonight here, Andre. Good finish.
Thank you.
That'll do it for tonight's second place finisher and Andre Castro. We'll get Aiden Kale's machine up on the screen for a little while here, give him his due for winning tonight's event. He has not joined us here in the interview room, but he put on one heck of a show here. Lights to flag from the pole. 7.5 seconds, the margin of victory back to Andre Castro in second. And we'll give another shout out to the one, Dennis Hauger, the Norwegian Nightmare. He came back as low as 9th spot, worked his way back up to 4th. His automobile will rejoin us on the mortal plane here. Maybe he got scared with us putting the camera on him. He'll come back eventually. There he is. the driver of the 9 machine tonight. Of course, the reigning real-world Indy NXT Series champion. Was very cool to see him join the stars and cars of the virtual world here in the Indy NXT Road Series here tonight from the famed Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And that'll do it for tonight's coverage of the Indy NXT Road Series here from Indianapolis. Of course, tomorrow night we'll be back with Indy NXT Oval Series coverage from the Mexico City Oval, the 1 mile blind turning right side wall missing down the front stretch oval will provide a very unique and interesting challenge at the very high elevation that the Mexico City track is found. Provide its own distinct set of challenges for drivers behind the wheel of these IL-15s for the very first time in the Indy NXT Oval Series. We'll see if that's a track that becomes a mainstay of that calendar over the coming seasons. Thank everybody for joining us here tonight on P1 for tonight's coverage, and we hope that you enjoyed the broadcast. We'll thank Whiplash Simcamps for providing cameras for tonight's event. And we'll thank those that do the difficult jobs all around the world that make it possible for us to bring you stuff like Indy NXT Road Series action here on P1 Broadcasting. Have a good night, everybody. Shout out to all the competitors that competed here tonight. Have a good night, everybody. We will catch you next time.